Did you ever buy a brand new bike with a part you knew you were just going to change? Today we're doing hand grips on the 24 Street Glide. Hey guys, welcome back. Salty here. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, thanks for dropping in. If you've been here for a while, thanks for coming back. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take the stock handlebar, or not handlebars, the stock hand grips off Night Rider, the 27 Street Glide you see behind me, and we're going to replace them with new ones. These guys right here, which are part of the Harley-Davidson Adversary collection. So they look pretty sweet. So we'll get right to work right now.
All right, let's get started. And you'll note that I'm just recording this because my microphone stopped working and I didn't notice it until I was done filming. So we'll move on from here. So we'll start on the clutch lever side. It's mostly the same for both sides, both the throttle side and the clutch side, but we'll get started on the left here. So the first thing you're gonna have to do is gather your tools. You're gonna need a T27 Torx, a T20 Torx. Next, we're gonna go and remove the clutch position sensor cable. There's a small plug that runs into the clutch housing from the control module, and that is what will tell the bike that the clutch is pulled in or pulled out. And there's a little rubber boot you're going to pop off right there, and then you just should be able to just slip your finger or possibly a small pick. It's one of those kind of fiddly little deals to pop that plug off. So down here you can see this is the rubber boot that we slid back, and there is the clutch position sensor. They're disconnected, so that's step one. Next, we're going to take our T27 Torx bit and we're going to remove the two bolts that are holding the clutch lever housing onto the handlebar itself. So it should be relatively easy to get those. They're a little stiff, but it should be relatively easy to get those out. Be careful if you're using a longer ratchet handle or anything like that, that you don't inadvertently hit your tank or your screen while you do it, while you get those out. So they shouldn't be in there, just get them. They will come completely out with a washer. Okay, so as you can see, we've removed the lower, and now we've got the upper T27 clutch lever screw coming out. And this should allow the whole clutch, so it should be a screw and a washer. And this should allow the entire clutch assembly to pull free like that. Clutch wire is pretty stiff, so you're just gonna have to do a little finagling to get it out of the way. Now with the clutch lever pushed carefully out of the way, and the clutch cable is pretty stiff, so you're gonna have to give it a little bit of move to get out of the way. You'll switch to a T20 Torx, and there are two screws that are holding the control module, the back half of the control module on. There's a third screw hole that's deeply recessed, and it specifically tells you not to touch that one, as it's an indexing screw for helping put the whole thing back together. Really easy, you won't miss it. They're the upper corner and the upper left and lower right corner as you're looking at the back of the control module. And you take your T20 Torx and you pop those both out. Those are both captive screws, so they will not come all the way out. They'll stay with it. With those two screws all the way backed out, you should be able to pop the back half of the control housing off. Be careful of how it goes around the headlight high beam switch, and then you should be able to expose the main module wires that connect it to the handlebars right in there. There should be two if you have heated grips installed, although if you have heated grips, I don't know why you're doing this job. So we have to get that plug out before we can remove the module. Okay, so now as you can see here, only thing holding this on now is this is the clutch position wire, and this is the hand control module wire that goes into the bar. So you just have to unplug this little plug right here, and then the whole grip assembly will come off and we can swap grips out. So now with that plug removed, we should be able to slide the entire grip module off. Of note, that's a fairly fiddly plug, so use a small pick or a screwdriver. It's fairly fragile. So now we can remove the entire hand grip from the assembly. It's notched, there's a little notch on it, and it's just indexed into that notch, so it should be relatively easy to get the old grip out. There's no more cutting or gluing. Now you'll see the new grip right here will then basically focus its way in. When it focuses, it'll slide in to the notch that the old grip assembly left, and it'll be indexed with the notch. It'll be perfectly set up. The Harley-Davidson logo will be right up, and there's really, really hard to screw this up. So you'll get that in, and then you have to work putting everything back on the bar and get everything back in place. So we're going to slide this back on the bar and then attempt to replug everything the way we had it before. So now we have the grip module slid back onto the bar. You can use a little bit of the paint or lack of paint on the bar to figure out exactly where you want to place it. So we've got the connector plugged in for the hand grip control module. And then one of the things you're going to do as you slide it onto the bars, make sure you feed that wire back inside the handlebar so that it is not getting pinched when you put the back clamshell half on. Once that's positioned, you're going to help to move the clutch handle out of the way. You're going to look for a hole in the bar. That's how you index where the whole hand grip assembly and your whole hand module should be placed. Once you find that hole in the bar, you're going to take the back half of your clamshell housing, which connects the whole control module together, and you'll see there's a small post on the back of it. That is the post that aligns and indexes off of that hole in the handlebars so that you have them in the correct position. Makes it kind of foolproof as far as getting them correctly positioned. However, it does remove some of your flexibility with regard to being able to adjust your bars, because you can't really just loosen up the clamp and move it around as much because it has to be indexed in that bar or it won't fit. So you'll feel it once you have that in position. The bar will be able to slide a little bit out and in off of the end of the bar, and it'll be able to rotate just a tiny bit. And then you'll know you have that indexed. So then you have to kind of hold it in position while getting the two T20 screws aligned and then started back in. Once you have that done, that should get the bar in position. So I think I have it set up here where it should align, and you're going to put that clamshell half back on and start messing with it until you can feel it catch. And once you feel it catch and be unable to turn, then you'll know you have it in position. So now that it's indexed, you can see a little bit of rotation, a little bit of ability to rotate and slide, but it's pretty well captured in place with that pin indexed in that hole. So now you just have to get T20 Torx bits screwed down so that the handlebar grip module is captured. And then back to the next step will be connecting up the clutch lever and reconnecting the clutch position cable. And then we're on to the throttle side. Okay, the last step now is just repositioning the clutch lever back into position and then connecting the two clamshell halves so that the clutch lever is in place. So if you've bent the clutch cable too much to get it out of the way, this is going to be a little bit problematic, but it's a little bit of force. You're just going to have to get it in there. Recommendation is to get it aligned and then hand start both screws, get them in, and then get them tightened up. Once that's done, all you have to do is go underneath, reconnect the clutch position cable that you disconnected in the first step, and make sure that rubber boot is slid back in place. And then we are all done with the clutch side. So it's going to be largely the same on the throttle side grip. You're going to have a connector down there on the lever to remove, and then we'll take the housing off. There's one or two extra steps for buttonology on the housing there. The trick, though, is going to be not letting the brake master cylinder get flipped over, and because then error thing. So what I'll probably do is get some kind of bungee cord and hook it to the mirror just so it's out of the way. So let's get started. So we've already disconnected the brake position cable, which works the same as the clutch position cable on the right hand control grip module. Now I'm going to use the T27s to get the brake lever off, and then use a piece of surgical tubing that I had laying around, don't ask, and put the brake lever on. As you can see there, that'll keep the brake lever tied to the mirror and keep the master cylinder up and out of the way so it doesn't end up falling over, getting air in the brake lines, and causing you to have to bleed your brake lines on what is a fairly easy job. Brake lever removed, we're now going to get the T20s out the back, same as on the left side. So they're captured screws, so they'll just stay attached to the back half of the grip clamshell, and then it should come off almost exactly the same as it did on the clutch side. No big issues there. And once we have the back half of the clamshell off, we'll talk about how we're going to do the disconnecting of those parts. It's a little different on the throttle side, but it should be relatively easy. So you can see in here, there's the connections that are attached here, plus this kind of wire bridge. So this little guy's going to clip down like that. And then you should be removing this wire, and there should be one other throttle position wire in there we're going to disconnect, and then we'll get the whole assembly off and change the hand grip out. With those two lines disconnected, we should be able to slide the entire throttle control assembly off of the handlebars. You can see it all comes off in one piece, and that the twist grip actually has a plastic collar that goes inside of the throttle, that white piece, which is the throttle position sensor. So as you twist it, that's how it'll sense a throttle position. So now the new grip is installed. You can see that pin lines up to that hole, and the throttle position indicator grabs the throttle sensor. So we know that that's working. The twist grip feels right, no binding. So we're going to get this back onto the handlebar and get it reinstalled. So on the other side, there was a pin in the back of the housing that indexed the position on the bar. In this case, it's that wire bridge clamp, that little guy right there that we flipped over. There's a pin on the inside of that that'll index a hole in the bar. So this is aligned now. So now all we really got to do is get the back cover back on and put the brake back on. We're done. So just like the clutch side, we're going to get our T20 Torx out, and we're going to make sure, and we're going to put that black clamshell back in place now that it's indexed in position with the wire bridge there. Of note, same as before, we've got the two connectors pushed back in and connected. Make sure those are seated, and make sure that you don't pinch any wires as you're fitting that back plate onto the hand control module, because that will cause problems at the end. So T20s, we're going to get those in there. No torque value specified, but just tight enough, but obviously don't go and strip anything. So same as before, we're going to use now to put the brake lever back in position. We're going to use T27s, and those are going to get screwed back down, making sure that you align and don't pinch the brake position sensor. Once that's done, we're going to take that plug and make sure that that plug is clipped back in and seated so the bike knows when the brake lever is pulled, and then make sure to slide that rubber boot back in place to protect it from any kind of weather that you see while you're out there. So once, like everything else, it's a little bit fiddly, you should hear a positive click and slide that rubber boot back into place. And there we have it. Adversary collection grips installed. Ain't they pretty? I think it was an orange and black Harley theme, but that almost looks red to my eyes, which is giving me some ideas for future ideas. So pretty easy install. I think it looks real sharp. Okay, guys. So obviously you saw from the voiceover on the installation video that my audio didn't record. So rather than doing a voiceover of a picture of my talking head, I figured I'd give you my talking head. So what did I get out of this job? Well, it was easy to do, shockingly easy to do. And my dealership quoted me 2 hours of labor, $165 an hour. So by my reckoning, that's double the price of the part to put the part in. You could totally do this job very easily. Took me a grand total of 45 minutes, and that's me messing with camera equipment. Probably could take you half an hour if you're actually concentrating and don't get distracted by shiny things like I do. So there you go. Please, thank you for sticking around this long for this video. I hope you like these installation videos. I will do them as I get parts to put on the bike. Thank you for giving me a thumbs up if you liked it. If you really liked it, subscriptions are awesome. They will definitely help grow the channel because we like doing some fun stuff around these parts. And then for everyone else, Salty Flyer, we'll check you guys out. We're going to do all the socials and everything else here in the future. So we'll see you guys in a bit. Salty, peace.